Cobra.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the live stream / podcast. I'm your host, as always, John J. II, and thank you for joining us today on a Wednesday, July 14th, 2021. Beautiful day out here in East Lansing. Really happy to join you guys and have you join me in this live stream / podcast. We got a lot of topics to go through today, but the first thing we got is Forza Azzurri. Forza Azzurri. So for all my non-Italian speaking people out there, that means Let's Go Blues, which is commonly referred to as the Italian national squad in soccer, not to be confused with Let's Go Blue, meaning the Michigan Wolverines. Almost gagged saying that, but listen, there's a common miscommunication. I've been posting Forza Azzurri quite often lately, and there's been, people that click that thing where it's where they have it translate what it's actually saying in English, and it translates it to Let's Go Blue, which is incorrect. So just kind of want to clear the air with that, because I don't want there to be a miscommunication there. People see that, they hit the translate thing, and they're like, wow, is this guy switching sides? Is he jumping ship? What's going on here? So there's a little bit of a miscommunication there. Just wanted to clear that up right here, right now. And we can talk about the statistics about this game. So obviously Italy versus England took place over the weekend, and it was kind of a crazy game. It went to extra time and eventually went to penalties. So I'll share my screen right now. I'm looking at the statistics on it on Wikipedia. Now, people are going to give me slack. Come on. Wikipedia is actually very reputable. Now, can you use it in a history paper? Can you use it in a paper where you got to get sources and reputable sources? Chances are the professor or teacher is not going to let you use Wikipedia. Okay, that's just a commonality, and I see why they do that, because it can be edited and changed by anybody on the internet, but it's vetted and it's changed, and there's mods on here that make sure that the information is factual. So this is something that we can kind of look at non-objectively, subjectively rather, and really take away and nitpick the individual statistics. So let's go into it. You can go back to, the early stages of the Euros, where Italy went, how England and Italy both got to the final. Talks about the different games here. Obviously, once they got to the knockout stage, Italy beat Austria 2-1 in extra time. They beat Belgium 2-1 in regular time, and wound up beating Spain in penalties, similar to the final with England. Went to penalties, and the game was decided essentially by penalties. Now, I got a bone to pick with the entire penalty situation, the entire, schematic of having penalties decide a soccer game, let alone a Euro final. So it can be kind of dicey. It's like, okay, who's going to make their penalties? Who's going to, whose keeper is more disciplined to, know where certain players have kicked it and potentially scored in the past, in past penalty situations. And those notes were definitely being taken. Pickford, the goalie for England, actually took notes and put those notes on his water bottle just in case that this game went to penalties, in which it did. So he knew every player in the top 5 penalty kickers from Italy. He knew where they were going to go every single time. So it was a little bit tense, especially when Jorginho missed that kick to win it. Pickford saved it, and then England had a chance. Saka had the chance to kick it to win, and Gianluigi Donnarumma saved it and gave Italy the win. So crazy win for the Azzurri. Really happy to see it. Me as a big Italian fan, I'm half Italian myself, so I like to toot my own horn, especially in this regard, because we missed out in Euros past in the semis to Germany in 2016, and obviously lost to Spain in the final in 2012. So we deserve this one. We really deserve this one. The Azzurri definitely deserved this one, even though, you can call it a partial choke towards the end, having Jorginho miss. He went a little bit too lax towards the far post, and Pickford knew that. Pickford knew where he was going. He saved it. He was disciplined. Pickford showed a lot of tenacity, and he did a hell of a job. Both keepers, Donnarumma and Pickford, really showed their true colors on the pitch in this final match. So we'll kind of go through the statistics briefly here. We can see the players on the field who got subbed in when they did. Obviously, the 2 goals, one from Luke Shaw in the 2nd minute. Now let's talk about that. The unbelievable pressure from England's offense and their front line to really get through and score that goal early. It was crazy to see it. I was watching it. I saw the storm coming before it got here. I could predict the forecast of that goal before it even happened. And to happen in the 2nd minute was kind of a shock to me, because I knew this was going to be a low-scoring game. I didn't anticipate that, England's offense would penetrate the Italian defense that quickly. Unfortunately, they did. Now, Luke Shaw is not a big goal scorer for the English side, so it was kind of surprising to see him, of all people, as well score, other than having somebody like Kane or Sterling or Mount or even Phillips score. It was kind of crazy to see Luke Shaw score as a potentially, was he a left back? So yeah, left wing back, I guess, is what he's considered. So kind of crazy that he would score. He was up the field in transition, found a hole in the Italian defense, and took the shot and scored near post against Donnarumma. Really crazy goal. Go back and watch it if you have the chance to. But then on a corner later in the game, Leonardo Bonucci came in and just crashed the boards. He got pucks deep and he crashed the boards. It's a little bit of a hockey term, but the same mentality can be seen throughout. He basically crashed the goal, and everybody just pressured Pickford until they put the goal in the back of the net. And it was kind of crazy, very much needed, especially getting shut down for most of the game. And this didn't come till after the half transpired. So it was very much needed goal, big time equalizer from Bonucci. He's an older player too, similar to Chiellini, the captain. They are basically the fathers of the Italian squad, the Azzurri. They're the founding fathers, basically. They're like the grandfathers. So, it's kind of crazy. Mama Bink with a comment, wish we were in Italy celebrating it. The crazy thing is, if this was 2 years ago, in 2019, we would be in Italy celebrating this because we were there 2 years ago. And I wish we were there too. It'd be crazy. We saw the videos, we saw the pictures of everything going on in all parts of Italy, and even places in Windsor where we have a lot of relatives over there. Big time Italian city, Windsor, Ontario. Lots of crazy stuff. And throughout the United States, a lot of Italians can be found that have immigrated to the United States and Canada throughout the World War II era and beyond. So lots of Italian blood in North America. And it's really cool to see. And a lot of people are happy about this. Okay, here we go. Here is the penalties right here. Obviously, Berardi scored first, then Kane, then Bellotti missed, and then McGregor scored. So then it was 2-1 England going into the third penalty kick, where Bonucci then scored. Rashford missed. That tied it up at 2. And then Bernardeschi scored with a banger goal. And the way he kicks his penalties is so powerful, where it's kind of nerve-wracking watching as a fan. It's like there's such a big margin for miss, for error, when you kick the ball that hard when it's just you and the goalie, because there's a lot of pressure, a lot of psychology that goes into scoring penalty kicks from the 10-yard box. So it's nerve-wracking. It looks like an easy score. You think about it scientifically, there's a lot more space that is open, that is vacant for the shooter to score compared to what the goalie can potentially protect. And it's kind of it's a big margin. So then Bernardeschi scored, Sancho missed. Then Jorginho, the one that won the game in penalties against Spain in the game prior in the semis, missed, and he shot in the same spot, kind of did the lag shot. He kicked it a little bit harder in this game, other than a little worm burner, than he did in the Spain game, but it wasn't going to fool Pickford. So he saved it, and then Saka had the equalizer to then make it a tie in penalties to pretty much send it to sudden death goals, which I anticipated possibly happening. And then you got people in the reserves shooting the goal, and then it's just a mess from there. But Saka missed it, and Donnarumma came in clutch with the save and won it for the Azzurri. So really impressive stuff. Let's go through some game stats now. Goals, obviously Italy won, England won in regular time. Italy had 20 shots compared to England's 6, which was a big margin compared to shots on goal, compared to the English shots on goal. Italy, Donnarumma had 0 saves in regular time, where England had 5. Possession meter, 61% for Italy, 39% for England. Corners, 3 for Italy, 5 for England. Fouls committed. This is another big kind of discrepancy here compared to both teams. 21 fouls committed by Italy against England's 13. 5 offsides calls for Italy against England's 1. 5 yellow cards for Italy against England's 1. So we can see a pattern here. There's a lot of fouls committed by the Azzurri compared to the English. And whether you call this a good thing or a bad thing, defensively, offensively, England was drawing the fouls. They were getting themselves in position where they were getting fouled. And by the Dutch referee, by his standards, they were fouls. Enough of them were red cards. As we can see right here, Bonucci with a red card, Chiellini with a red card, Jorginho with a red card, Barella with a red card, and Lorenzo Insigne with red card, yellow cards. These guys had yellow cards, 0 red cards from both squads in this match. So nobody got sent off. There wasn't 10 against 11 in any circumstance. But you're seeing center mids. You're seeing, Lorenzo Insigne as a left winger getting a yellow card. You usually don't see that. Chiellini is usually pretty disciplined. He's not really getting booked that much, but to see him get booked is kind of crazy. And then Jorginho getting booked too in the 114th minute. It just shows that these guys can get booked and they're going to be challenging offenders wherever it is in the pitch. So all things considered, it was a strong defensive game from both sides. Only one yellow card for the English side, Harry Maguire, in the 106th minute. So a lot can be taken away from that. The the yellow cards, the fouls, and also the corners can be taken into consideration here when looking at which side was more evenly matched or had more weight on them. Comment from Uncle John here. Hey, John boy. Forza Azzurri, no doubt. Great win by the Blues. Looking for your take, as I know you're a bigger soccer guy than me. What's your take on Chiellini's horse collar and not getting a red card? I know if this happened to Italy, I'd definitely be irked. Secondly, what's your take on England removing their medals after they were placed around their necks at the ceremony? Great question. Uncle John. And to see that foul from Chiellini, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the offender from England that the foul was on. It was one of those fast guys. It had to be Sterling, or it could have been Phillips, could have been Saka, Sancho, could have been one of those guys. They were basically on a breakaway run towards the middle of the field. It was towards the out of bounds line, and Chiellini had a really bad shirt grab where he really yanked on it, and he was the last man. So he got carded for that, which I think was very much deserved. And I thought Chiellini was more disciplined, more educated than to commit that kind of foul. That seems like a foul that like maybe a first year, second year guy would have committed. Yeah, so it was Saka. Okay, Saka. So they got a lot of fast guys on their offense for England. Saka and Sterling being two of the fastest. So looking at that, seeing that foul, that could have obviously been a chance for England to score. And it would have been a big deciding moment, especially being in, it was in stoppage time. So the 96th minute before extra time started, that could have been a turning point in the game. It could have ended 2-1 right there. Could have not even played extra time, obviously, given Saka had that breakaway chance to then score a goal. But I think a red card could have possibly been warranted there. And you might hear me saying that now, given that it didn't happen. But I think either way, no matter how you make that call, it's kind of in the referee's discretion to make that call. As far as the English taking off their medals when they got, awarded, I give the English credit for even being on the field following that game. That heartbreaker of a game, especially losing in penalties against two saves that end it. Pickford and Donnarumma just put it on a show, and Donnarumma was a very well receiver of the player of the tournament, which he is the first goalkeeper to ever receive that award. I think he very much deserved that. But it was a great performance by everybody, but the goalies really showed out for their squads and their countries for this game, and really for much of the tournament. The goalie is a position that cannot be undermined. They're essentially I think they pull rank even on captains when it comes to talking about who pulls rank on the field at any given moment for making certain decisions, to pulling people aside to have a chat with them. I think that and a lot of times you'll see goalkeepers are the captain of the team, like Courtois for Belgium is the captain. So you can look at it from no matter which way you look at it, it is definitely deserving that the goalkeeper gets a lot of recognition, especially in this game, because there's a lot that happened where the goalies got brought into a situation where they had a chance to really determine the outcome of the game. So very, very impressive stuff. And, Euro 2020, every Euros really never fails to give us a lot to watch, a lot to anticipate, and a lot to appreciate. So I really got a lot out of these Euros, and I watched probably 80% of these games. I missed maybe a handful, but I watched all 50 plus games of these Euros. And international football is really impressive stuff. And I had a lot of good guys hop on the show throughout the Euros. Caden, Sammy, and Chuck all hop on and talk about some footy. And all those guys are really big soccer fans themselves. They're really into watching the Euros and really invested in making sure they knew what was going on. And maybe some of them had bets out there. I don't know. I got burned, and I'm going to have one. I just got a bone to pick with the whole betting system. Maybe this is a problem with BetMGM. I don't know. But the problem I have is betting. I want to be able to bet on a team. Maybe I don't want to bet on them to advance. I just want to bet on them to win. But the little caveat is you got to bet on them to win in not in extra time, in regulation time. So, for example, the Austria game, it was the first game of the knockout stage with Italy and Austria. It was tied 1-1 going into it, but I bet on the Azzurri probably, 50th, 60th minutes. I don't know, something like that. But I anticipated them to come back. I think they were down 0-1 at that point to Austria. And basically, the Azzurri won. Obviously, they won the final. But since it was still tied at the end of regulation time, I lost that bet. They wound up winning the game, but since I didn't pick them to move on, and those odds were obviously very much less favorable than the odds that I took for them to win in regulation time, I got burned on it, and I'm pissed off about it even to this day. And that's why I said even the Napoli game when they played Fiorentina months ago, I bet that game, and it got tied up 1-1. In the dying embers of the game. I think it had to be the 97th minute that they got a pen and they scored and tied it up, made it a draw. Got burned on it. Told them I would never ever bet soccer again because of that. Really bad experience. I'm really it kind of got me. It got me in the mood to not want to bet soccer, and that hurts me to say that because I love watching soccer. I can get hype about certain teams if I know a little bit about them. Throw some coin on them. Even some underdogs. I've made a lot of money betting soccer before, especially Bayern Munich, betting on them when they were down, 3 goals, coming back and winning it 4-3. Things like that. There's big times, there's big opportunities to make that money back. But the question is, are those chances going to come or not? Those chances could possibly never come. You could get more chances than you anticipate. You look at the Germany-Brazil game in the World Cup 2014, you see different scenarios where different opportunities are presented for goals, depending on how certain players are playing, how certain defenses are being penetrated by other offenses. And you see a conflict sometimes with different formations like we see here. I think, I don't know what the formations were. I don't have them on my screen, but we can kind of look at them here. So that's a 1-2-2-5, 1-2-2-5, and then you have a 3-3-4 or 4-3-3, whatever you want to call it. And you can look at it and split it up however you want, but basically they have different spacing throughout the field, and they call that, and there's a different consideration by different number sequences. So sometimes they work differently and better against other formations. Sometimes they work out worse, but those are only minute factors that can be looked at when looking at different odds and different matchups with soccer. So usually it just goes on strength within the squad. But especially for the Euros, anything can happen. We've seen Switzerland beat France in penalties, which was kind of crazy. The world champions, #1 ranked. France lose. Actually, I don't know if they're #1 ranked or not. Belgium was pretty close. I think Belgium was #1 ranked, actually. And I don't know how they determine those ranks, whether it's through the qualifiers or what. But bottom line is, because of the formalities that are involved with betting soccer, it's so hard to get the right end or the long end of the stick. So it makes it difficult to handicap, first of all, and makes it even more difficult to bet. If you're going to bet it at all, you might as well bet it. Who's going to advance? But I feel like betting on the draw is just such a weak bet. You're basically betting on no teams to score, which could possibly happen. It could very possibly happen in a lot of different scenarios. I'm not saying it can't, but to bet that and anticipate no goals being scored from if you bet it from the beginning of the game, at halftime, or beyond halftime, or sometime where it's live betted, it doesn't matter because there's so many different things that can happen, and it's more or less a crapshoot. So I'll leave it at that. Forza Azzurri, I'm gonna leave it at that. Let's move on. Let's talk about some more crapshoots here. Let's talk about the Poirier-McGregor fight. This is obviously the rubber match between Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor. This one, for a lot of people, should know what happened here unless you're living under a rock. In that case, you don't. But basically, at the end of the first round, McGregor backed up and basically left his ankle on the canvas. He had to pick it up. He had to actually have assistants help him pick it up. And, there's a lot of shit talk going on between Dustin and Conor, both before the match, even after the ankle break and following. But it was kind of a shit show. It really made Conor McGregor look like a terrible person, terrible competitor. Didn't see it coming from him one bit. Really embarrassing performance by him. He got his ass beat, first of all. He's talking shit about, Dustin and his wife, basically giving him death threats per Dustin. I mean, that's what Dustin said in the winning interview with Joe Rogan. To then see Joe Rogan sit down against the fencing with Conor McGregor as he's basically getting his ankle put back together to get hauled out of T-Mobile. It was a sight to see. And karma is a bitch, but breaking your ankle is her sister, basically. So take that into account when you're shit talking. It's all going to come around. Everything goes full circle. Everything that goes around will come around. And that's just that. I think there will be a fourth match between these two individuals. There's a lot of hatred going on, a lot of hatred. And McGregor went into this fight as the underdog, where Poirier went in as the favorite, obviously, because of the last matchup and the knockout and the way that fight was decided. But it was really entertaining. And even if he didn't break it, a lot of, Dustin said he broke it on a low kick earlier in the first round. Then, when he stepped back, you can watch the video for yourself, a little bit gruesome, but when he stepped back and put pressure on that ankle, it basically snapped and gave out, and it was sitting perpendicular to his leg bone on the ground, on the canvas. So quite grueling stuff. Everything happens for a reason. I think the shit talking got the best of Conor McGregor in this instance, whether you look back at the weigh-ins to see how Conor performed and see how he, his behavior was showing for himself. You look at that, you look at the different things on social media, you look at the shit talk towards Dustin Poirier and his family, especially his wife. And you can see some chain of events there kind of pointing in the direction of Conor McGregor's downfall. And that's what he got. And essentially that's what he deserved. And that's my unbiased opinion, completely objective opinion on that. I didn't have any money on the fight. That's a similar thing. That's where I brought it full circle is I don't bet soccer and I don't bet fights. I don't bet UFC, boxing, none of that shit. Just because it's so unpredictable. It's so unpredictable. Anything can happen. Obviously, look at the weight on Poirier, McGregor 2. You've seen tons of people, I'm talking tons of people leveraging crazy amounts of money on McGregor because it's like, oh, man, this has got to be a lock. He beat Poirier's ass in the first fight. This is the second fight. He's going to shut him out, go 2-0 on him. And, it's Conor McGregor. He has that aura about him where he really boasts himself and he has that ego, which is either likable or very hateable, depending on how you look at it, depending on what side you're on with the whole McGregor kind of, way of doing things, I guess. I don't know how to put it, but Conor McGregor has formed an ego on social media, on, Fight Island, on different, UFC reality shows where he is this different human being. He is more than a human being. And that's how he portrays himself, has the proper 12 whiskey where he promotes that. And really that boosted him into being the highest paid athlete in the world. So a lot of different things, a lot of different components that go into the likeness or the hateability of Conor McGregor. And no matter what side you're on, you can see it and you can make your own decision based on that. That's how I felt about Gamebred Jorge Masvidal a long time ago. I saw him just as a brutal killer style fighter, kind of looked at him a little bit disrespectfully. Didn't really see him as a very humble guy. As I watched more of him and seen what he was doing off of the octagon and off of, UFC fighting, I began to respect him and like him and admire him a lot more. And now he's one of my favorite fighters to watch. So people grow on you, different things happen. But basically everything came full circle in this fight. Obviously I never like seeing anybody get, hurt where they're breaking bones on camera, on pay-per-view to, for the masses. It's not a good look. It's not a good look for anybody. And you never want to see anybody get injured like that. You want to see competition go fair and square. But I think there's going to be a lot of backlash about this because people are going to say, oh, it wasn't a fair fight. It wasn't a completely finished fight. The doctors called it off, obviously broken bones. unable to continue. So there will be a fourth fight. I can see it happening. Don't know when, but obviously Conor's going to have to get recovered and healed up before he even thinks about stepping back in the octagon. Some critics also say that this could be the end for Conor McGregor. Now, I don't know if that's the case. I don't think that he will go out on this note. I think he'll come back and fight his way back to the top, or attempt to. So we'll see what happens with that, but I'm very much anticipating his decision going forward. So we'll leave that at that for now. Let's move on to the Open. The Open starts this week, guys. So I'm really excited to watch the Open. Hopefully we can get Sobo on a show one day this week. If he's watching, shouts out to Sobo. He is the Gen Pros Golf PGA contributor. We're really happy to have him in our corner and talk golf and give us his picks and give us his handicaps, who he's looking at, different odds, different perspectives, things like that. So another major is upon us. We're seeing a lot of majors at this time of the year, a lot of big tournaments. So who are you looking out for? Let me know who you're looking out for. Haven't even looked at the stat sheet yet. Obviously, the British is always a major tournament, major league tournament, where there's a lot of contenders. Anybody can win, different styles of golf where you don't usually see it. The link style where it's more open. You got the really deep bunkers. You got the, the wavy rolling hills. And there's a lot of other outside factors that really contribute to the difficulty of a match of golf when played at the British. And just the aura of the British Open is enough in itself to make it a more difficult tournament compared to others. So looking forward to this one. Look forward to more news coming out on the Open. Going back to the Gin Euro competition between Cade and I. So we're going to have a show where we're going to have the shotgun ceremony. Hopefully it's going to be tomorrow. There was, dates thrown up in the air. Thursday was a date that was proposed by Caden, Mr. Carter. So hopefully it's tomorrow. Let me clear up the scores. 10 shotguns for Caden. Obviously taking a big L in the finals with Italy beating England. He took England. I took the Azzurri, obviously. And then multiple losses before that. There was actually another bet that got thrown in when Montreal and Tampa Bay went to overtime. I took Montreal. I think we bet, 4 shotguns on that game. He's like, if Tampa Bay wins, then I get 4 taken off. If they lose, then I get 4 added. Unfortunately for him, Tampa Bay lost that game and Montreal pulled out the win in OT, got the golden goal, and basically added 4 goals to Caden's count. So went a little bit cross-court, cross-league, cross-sport, whatever you want to call it. But we basically added 4 more shotguns to him for that one, giving him the grand total of 10 shotguns. I only have 1, so I'm going to savor it. I'm going to make sure it's tasty and make sure it's room temperature so it goes down smooth. So really looking forward to that. I'm really excited about this ceremony. Hopefully Caden can get them all done in one frame. Anticipating, he's going to be a thirsty guy tomorrow. I'm telling him to come into the situation room parched. I want you to be thirsty. Those 10 shotguns, they're going to go down as smooth or as hard as you want them to. So the ball is in Caden's court as far as that, but he does have to get those 10 shotguns down one way or another. Moving on, we got game 4 tonight of Phoenix and Milwaukee. It's in Milwaukee. Milwaukee minus 4.5. Who do you got? Who is your pick? People are asking me this left and right, sending me DMs. Now, obviously a big win by Milwaukee, a big, crazy win. Last game in game 3, preventing Phoenix going up 3-0. Who's going to win this game? It's in Milwaukee. Giannis is there. Is he 100% healthy? I don't think so. I think he's 70, 75% at best. That hyperextension of the knee is another injury that could have been way worse. And, it's crazy. A lot of knee injuries, a lot of leg injuries going on, it seems like, amongst, the variety and the wholeness of the league, no matter what sport you're talking about, soccer, basketball, UFC. A lot of leg injuries. Don't like seeing them. It's tough to watch. I don't like leg injuries at all. But without going out on a tangent, going out on a limb, who do I have in this game? Now, obviously, Phoenix is pretty healthy. I'm liking Phoenix. I want Phoenix to win it all. I wanted him to win it all for a while now, going back to some of Chris Platty and I's early podcast / live streams going back, months ago. Who do I have? I think I got to take the Suns plus 4.5. Suns plus 4.5. I think they're going to come out with a bang, correct themselves, go up 3-1. Really, that's what I want them to do. Am I betting with my heart and not with my head? I don't think so. I think it's a mixture. But I want to say, I'll say this for the cameras. I'm doing it with my head more than I'm doing it for my heart. So let's keep it simple. Let's keep it kosher. Take the Suns plus 4.5. Now, obviously, I hit multiple bets that I've put out live. I think I'm undefeated when calling out live bets on the show. So take it to the bank. But obviously, don't have to give you the betting problem hotline. Any money you bet is risking your own capital, but it's very low risk if you're taking my bets. So take it. Suns plus 4.5. I like it, and we'll see what happens. Let's see what else we got. So obviously, we've already talked about this. The Tokyo 2020 Olympics will not have fans. Unfortunately, the Delta variant has made it to Tokyo and has shown its ugly self to basically prevent fans from coming. They don't want to, see another outbreak, especially because of the Olympics. People are coming from all angles and corners of the earth to watch the Olympics if they did have fans. And, just the athletes is having a lot of people from different countries, different parts of the globe there. They don't want to, make it any more of an issue than they have to. I just hope it doesn't change the aura of the Olympics too much. I'm saying aura a lot, but I like that word, and I think it explains what I'm trying to say very well. So without saying aura again, I just don't want it to mess with the dynamic of the Olympics, because the Olympics is such a great time. It's such a great event, a worldwide stage where you can see multiple countries from all over that you don't really hear about compete against each other, against the major countries, and it's just a great time. So I hope it doesn't mess with the dynamics of that, but we'll see if it does or not. So that brings us to the end, guys. Thank you for tuning in to the official Gin Pros live stream / podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media. Our link tree is everywhere. It's in our link, or it's in our description of this show. So make sure to check it out and follow us and share all of our shows and media posts. But I'll leave it at that, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I'm John J. II, your host. As always, have a great night.